I know you better than you know yourself. I'm not a mentalist or a psychic. Before I tell you just who I am, I'd like to introduce you to a younger version of me. At 16, I'd graduated high school early, desperate to start college, but a little unsure of my path. When it came to selecting a major, I felt paralyzed. My uncle, who knew of my interests in art and psychology, suggested, Steph, if you want to have as much fun as possible in your career, choose advertising. So I studied advertising, and by 18, I landed a gig at an advertising monetized digital media publisher. We work with brands investing millions merely to be associated with incredible digital and real-world experiences. Brands who still fund much of what we enjoy today, from live sports to the free internet. So, the first decade of my career looked a lot like this. Pretty fun, right? We had a lot of fun. Next came the mass adoption of smartphones, and with it, the data revolution. Brands that we worked with increasingly wanted to know, did my campaign actually work? And so, the next decade of my career looked a little more like this. Don't worry, I'm still having fun. In this photo, I premiered a body of research that completely changed everything I'd come to know in my career up until this point. In this study, we found that despite people telling us that halftime was their least favorite part of watching the Super Bowl, their brainwaves fixed with EEG headsets told us an entirely different story. Halftime was their peak moment of engagement. That's when I realized marketers may know us better than we know ourselves. This was more than an insight. It was a revelation. It meant that the narratives that we tell ourselves about what we love, what we value, and who we are might be illusions. And if businesses could decode these truths about us, why couldn't we? Why couldn't we look to this industry investing millions to better understand customers as an agent to our own self-discovery and self-understanding? Here's the problem. There's the version of yourself that you believe to be true, and then there's the version that companies, algorithms, and AI collect, often with a clarity that you don't have. Turns out, the gap between self-perception and reality isn't rare. It's actually the norm. And we don't even need to peer into people's brains to see it. It happens time and time again. Market research from Azira compared self-reported behaviors with observable location data from across millions of consented devices. 75% of the groups studied misreported their own habits. Ironically, they underreported on positive habits like going to the gym and they more accurately reported on negative habits like eating fast food. So they weren't lying. They just weren't aware. Turns out that these distortions can shape how we view ourselves, how we spend our time and money, how we manage our health, really how we live. Consider this. So Harvard professor Dr. Zaltman estimates 95% of your purchase decisions are made subconsciously. When you do the math on that, and you consider the average American household spending, your household will spend $4 million on purchases you never consciously decided to make. You'll spend 23 years of your life on screens while underestimating your usage 40%. And if you struggle to maintain a healthy weight, you will underestimate your calorie intake by 20 to 50%. Ignoring these subconscious choices can be costly, financially, physically, and emotionally. Here's the good news. We can do something about it. We can fix it. And I offer you this mantra. Map your data. Master your choices. Map your data. Master your choices. We can look and leverage this data that's being collected about us to better understand ourselves. Start by embracing the wealth of information that's being collected by your devices about your actual behaviors. This information is literally at your fingertips. How many of us here have seen an ad with the "Why am I seeing this?" button? How many of you have clicked it? Okay, I highly recommend you do so. I discovered I was being targeted with infertility ads merely because I was 36 and child-free. With this awareness, I could opt out, not just of the ads, but out of society's assumptions about one of my most important life decisions. Next, take control of your digital footprint by comparing your perceived behaviors with the behaviors that your devices actually record. Your phone tracks your location. Your fitness apps track your activity. Your credit cards record your every purchase. Set aside time to review this data. You might be surprised. My female colleague got clever with this one. Every night she would ask her kids, "What do you want for dinner?" Crickets, right? Can anyone relate to that? So she opened up her family's Uber Eats account and looked at her kids' recent ordering history and whipped up a few of their favorites. Genius. These practices, when we adopt them, can also help those who are closest to us in our lives. Finally, and this is crucial, make a point to request the information from the companies and platforms that you engage with most often. They're legally required to share it with you, and the process is usually pretty straightforward. Once you have it, you can discover the truth about what you're actually doing every day. It's not about changing who you are. It's about seeing yourself clearly, maybe for the first time, through this lens of objective data. That is map your data on to master your choices. Maybe you discover you're an impulse shopper. Create yourself a mental stopgap. Before you put an item in your cart, ask yourself, What is my motivation to buy this? Does it align with my goals and my values? Maybe your screen time is way higher than you first expected. Set yourself app limits or tech-free hours to reclaim your focus. And this isn't about restriction. It's about identifying patterns to make conscious decisions that serve you. That's the power of map your data, master your choices. Now, understanding yourself through these marketing-driven resources isn't just about convenience. Turns out it can actually be life-saving. I want to share a story about a 3-time UConn alum who turned a business tool into something that may have saved a student's life. Samira Patel, a college senior, once dreamed of studying rare genetic disorders. But under the weight of financial pressure, academic stress, and her past trauma, that dream quickly faded. She withdrew. First from friends, then from class, and then she lost hope. One night, overwhelmed and stuck in a particularly dark place, Samira opened her laptop and had received the university-wide email for a free emotional well-being tool. Now, that tool was Agile Brain. It was an assessment developed by UConn alum and social psychologist Dr. J.D. Pincus. Originally built to help businesses, including marketers, it interprets subconscious data through a rapid-fire image-based test. Samira took the test, not expecting much, but within minutes, her results were clear. High distress, immediate risk. Next came the prompt, request help. On impulse, she did. Within the hour, her phone rang. It was the Student Counseling Center. They reassured her she was not alone. Within the coming weeks, with their help, she reconnected with friends, with her hope, and with her future. She retook the test. Recovery state, stabilizing. Samira wasn't fixed, but she had found her way forward. And all because one UConn alum believed in democratizing data, believed in map your data, master your choices. He turned a business tool into something personal, accessible, and life-saving. In the future, the very near future, there won't just be more data. There'll be the ability to process it at a speed and an accuracy that we can only imagine now. This data will train models to make accurate predictions about your life. Maybe it won't just know when you'll get married, but to whom. Maybe it knows that you're gonna change careers, or that you're most inspiring on Tuesdays. Maybe it knows that your jokes get better engagement when you're sleep deprived. Maybe packages will arrive at your doorstep before you knew you needed them. This is not science fiction. This is your future in the next 5 years. Will you use this information to understand yourself better? Or will you let others know you better than you know yourself? Thank you.